Hey folks, welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today I'm just going to give you guys a quick update. I told you guys last week to look out for the 26th, the 27th, and 28th, and today's the 27th. And we got the rate hike by the Federal Reserve, 75 basis points. It's very possible that they could have came out with 100 and kind of shocked the markets, but they didn't do that. And actually the markets reacted positively. And I did actually think that Monday and Tuesday were going to be relatively negative days. Tuesday was a negative day, but it did not, what was going on this week did not really affect the stock markets like I thought it would. And I know that some of the intentions of the Federal Reserve and just doing research and studying, like Jerome Powell has said in the past that the stock market is way overvalued. And so he's been trying to do things to get people to sell off. And so those things aren't quite working out in the way that he thought it would. This just goes to show also the reality of the stock market and the state of our economy. And there's this illusion that this economy is strong. And it's really not, folks. If you look at our debt, you look at what we manufacture, which is hardly anything. We really don't have a strong economy. We have become a service-based economy, right? You see our oil prices. That just doesn't affect gasoline, but it affects everything that's made out of plastic and other items that we use. And just because gas is going down doesn't necessarily mean that everything that these businesses have done to pay for the shipping cost and the cost to manufacture these items, those costs are not going to go down anytime soon. But I've been saying for the longest time, and I've been doing this channel for over 4 years, and before we really got into the crypto side of the wealth transfer, it was mainly about the global currency reset and all the things that we talked about then as far as this economy and the debt. And we thought years ago, going back to 2017 and 18 and 19, that the debt was going to take out the world economy, and then we would have the global currency reset. And that has not happened yet. And of course, now we're more all into different aspects of the wealth transfer, and then mainly dealing with cryptocurrency. That's the thing, our country is currently at 30 trillion in debt. Credit card debt is in the trillions, student loan debt is in the trillions, state loans from the Federal Reserve is in the trillions. And it's not something that's sustainable. And somehow, some way, the central banking system is still just, they're pumping out their money and they're still keeping the system alive. And eventually it will crumble because it's unsustainable. There's no plan to repay the Federal Reserve $30 trillion. How are you going to repay $30 trillion? And your budget deficit is anywhere from I don't know what it is, like around 2 trillion or something. There's no way that you can do that with the type of economy that we currently have right now. We don't produce anything. We don't make hardly anything that we used to, like we did 40, 50 years ago. If you guys remember, things used to be made in Japan, and then it switched to Mexico, and then it switched to China. So there was just a lot of expectations. It was only some of my expectations were reached. I was looking at certain prices of cryptocurrencies, and they almost got to the levels where I wanted to buy at, but that did not happen. And we still have the GDP numbers that come out tomorrow. Now, this is the thing. The White House has already came out, and even these different news agencies, including CNN, have roasted this White House for trying to change the definition of a recession. All right, so we know that is going on. All right, so, whatever numbers come out, all they did this week was just soften the blow. It's not really a recession because of the job numbers and this and that. It's kind of funny how, you can shut down an entire economy and all these businesses can fail, and then people have to go look for other jobs, right? And then call it a job boom, where people are actually having to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. And, it's just this whole illusion. And this is one of the things that Christopher Harris had talked about, the prophecies dealing with the stock market, was that they were trying to do everything they can to make it seem like everything was okay. And it was not okay. And when I go back and I read that prophecy again, it's like, okay, everything that I'm hearing in the news, they're trying to cover this, they're trying to cover that, they're trying to change the definition of this. They're trying to make it seem like everything's okay. Don't worry about the $30 trillion in debt. Don't worry about what's going on in China, cutting off the supply chains and all this other, don't worry about Ukraine. Don't worry about China and Taiwan. Everything's going to be okay. And that's what we're getting. And that's what they did all through 2021. Remember, inflation was transitory. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be okay. And then we just got slammed with it. So you can't trust anything that comes out of this administration. Bitcoin almost hit 23,000 today. It jumped up from like 21,000 something to almost 23,000. And, there's some other prophetic words I'm going to get into dealing with that. And I've shared with you guys before, it's either going to go down from where it's at around the 20,000 mark down to either 0 or 16,500. Then we're going to take off. I see so many different prophetic words dealing with Bitcoin. Right now, that's why I say I just take things day by day. And I just wait because I've seen so much from different people, reputable people. But, with Bitcoin, there's this whole fear factor thing that I just kind of want to explain. And most people are not going to get this. The average investor is not going to get everything that is going on right now. If you guys remember, Luna and their stablecoin collapsed, right? And that brought a lot of fear, doubt, and insecurity into the cryptocurrency markets, right? And that has led to like what has gone on with Celsius and Three Arrows Capital, right? And all the bad loans and the billions of dollars that are just gone. And a lot of people aren't going to get their money back. Companies aren't getting their money back, right? So that has crushed the cryptocurrency markets. A lot of these crypto companies lost a lot of money in Celsius, but they really lost a lot of money in the Three Arrows Capital. They really lost a lot of money. I don't think people don't understand like how bad it was. To the average investor that wasn't affected, you're not probably thinking about it. And then, the whole thing with Luna, those investigations are still going on. And South Korea, it seems like to me, I think they're getting ready to arrest the founder. I don't know if if you're into the new Luna coin, I might think about, if you're still holding on to that, I might want to get rid of that. Because when the hammer comes, I don't know if that crypto is going to survive or not. So when people see that stuff, they see that these investigations going on, they see everything that's going on with Luna and Three Arrows Capital. There's not a lot of confidence in the markets. And then we have these liquidations, that happen every time Bitcoin is swinging. So people are losing their confidence because they're betting long or short and then getting wiped out. Right? Then we have the whole thing with the Mt. Gox that is coming up, but that's next month. Right? We don't know how that's going to affect. I mean, I can read 1,000 articles to you right now about how Mt. Gox and how it's not going to affect the markets or how it is going to affect the markets. We don't really know. But I can guarantee a lot of people that have had Bitcoin sitting there waiting for years, and they've been watching Bitcoin go up and down. Reading an article about somebody who had like 100 Bitcoin or something like that, and he watched it go all the way up to 69,000. Could you imagine that? And you can't even do anything because your Bitcoin is locked up in this whole court proceeding. So I do imagine, and you can take cash. Those people can take cash, which is going to require them to sell. But I would imagine that people are going to take Bitcoin. Those people who are holding on, those people that are about to get their Mt. Gox Bitcoin, if the markets do go up to 30 to 40,000 and then all of a sudden it just drops, that could be very well because of Mt. Gox. Right? People selling off, because some of these people didn't put in very much money when they first bought their Bitcoin. So to them, it's a huge breakthrough for them. And they've been waiting for all this time. So you have to put yourself in their position. What would you do if you had, say, 500 Bitcoin and you couldn't cash it out at all whatsoever? Don't tell me you're going to sit there and be a hodler, right? Because your emotions have been wrecked over the last 2 to 3 years. So then we still have this whole thing with, some of these platforms, and they've shut people from withdrawing their cryptocurrencies and going into bankruptcy. We look at Voyager, and then we look at Celsius, and then there's actually been some other exchanges that I never heard of that I guess that are pretty popular in other countries that have been shut off, right, from people taking their withdrawals. So there's this whole thing with, okay, get your coins off the exchange, right? So you have that movement going right now too as well, and I've been talking about it, and I'm not doing all of my cryptocurrency and putting it onto a hard wallet, but I am doing some of it. And so for somebody who's just new getting into crypto, and then you get them to sign up with an exchange, and then the next thing you know it, you're throwing all this stuff at them about get your coins off the exchange, you get a hard wallet and do this and do that. You know, it's very confusing for the new investors. And then you have this whole thing with the EU regulations. It's just like here in the United States, there's been delays, other issues, and now they're talking about including NFTs into the regulations. So whatever the EU does, all platforms are mostly going to have to follow if they want to stay in line and keep operating in those countries. So you have stablecoin regulations, you have NFT regulations, crypto regulations, and whatever the EU decides right now, it doesn't matter what the United States does. In order for most of these platforms to survive, they're going to have to follow the EU regulations. And so whatever EU regulations that they have will probably be applied to or assumed that the United States is going to move in that direction. Right? You have the XRP case, you have the XRP and the Coinbase and Kraken. And so the SEC, you know, and it's kind of funny, crypto's been around, Coinbase has been around for a while, right? And then all of a sudden the SEC wants us to go ahead and go after XRP, right? And then now they're going after Coinbase. Right? This is not a coincidence. To me, they're trying to stop the wealth transfer from coming through. The enemy is behind it, regardless of what the reasoning is. It doesn't make sense that you can go after Coinbase, right? You're not going after any other platforms at this time except for Kraken, right? The whole thing with Iran. Because the United States has not passed legislation, it's allowing the SEC to operate like we are in the Wild Wild West. Okay, so they can just go after anybody, anything secure. They don't care about the investor. Because if they cared about the investor, the SEC would go to the legislator and say, look, you guys need to pass this legislation. There's no point of me going after platforms or cryptocurrencies if you guys don't have proper legislation. So all that does not make any sense. And so there's all this uncertainty dealing with the SEC. At any time, they can just start going after all of our favorite cryptocurrencies. Out of all the sources I look at, right, and most of them have said Bitcoin has not hit its bottom yet. So that's another thing that we're kind of just waiting on. You know, whether it happens this month or next month or however the case, you know, it might go up to 30 or 40,000 at some point. There's just still a lot of uncertainty within the cryptocurrency market. If you were to show somebody who's never invested in cryptocurrency, all those things I just mentioned, everything from the SEC all the way down to Three Arrows, to Mt. Gox, the EU regulation, XRP case, Coinbase, if you were to talk about all those different things, you know, they're like, I don't know if I really want to invest in all this stuff. Because it seems like there's a lot of uncertainty, right? If they were exposed to all that information, not everybody is. And then let's not forget about the billions of dollars that was lost in the metaverse. You know, then you still have this whole thing with USDC and USDT. And I don't think I've made those videos public yet, but I've talked about the whole thing with Tether, and they're still trying to attack Tether. They don't really want any stablecoin. And from what I understand, the EU regulations may be very, very strict. So it can cause a lot of issues within the cryptocurrency market. Of course, it's not going to be anything that's going to take effect right away. Usually, if you pass a pretty strict regulatory law, that they give companies time to get everything together. And so, of course, they're attacking Tether again. This one thing is that the people that are in charge, that are running things right now, they do not care about the average investor. They don't care if the cryptocurrency markets were to fall, because all they're going to do is replace stablecoins with CBDCs. It's going to give them the right to come in and regulate cryptocurrency in the way that it benefits them and it restricts us. Right? Because that's what the stock market is now, right? They can fail to deliver on their shorts. You know, they can get away with doing everything that they do within the regular stock market, and the cryptocurrency market will be no different by the time they get done with it. And that's what we are trying to prevent from happening. And even though EU regulations, they're going to go after NFTs. NFTs, when you think about it, where's the regulation in that? Eventually, there's going to be a regulation that's going to come out dealing with NFTs, and it's going to cause anything that's NFT related to crash. It's going to happen at some point. And they're even talking about including it in the EU regulations as a piece of property. You want to go and buy a piece of property in the metaverse? Well, it's going to be treated like a real piece of property. I don't know exactly how it's going to do it, but if you own a property here in real life, guess what? In most places, if you own a house, you have to pay property taxes on it every year. And those regulations are coming. These are things that do not bring a lot of trust into the cryptocurrency markets. You will know when you are at a point to where you can trust the cryptocurrency markets, right? And that's when you know when you go all in, right? Or you would go all in. But that's not always a smart thing to do, but you understand what I'm saying. At this point, would you go all in Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, any of the top 100 cryptocurrencies? Would you go all in right now? That would tell you where your trust level is at. And that's if you know everything that is going on and everything that is coming about. So, folks, that's really all that I have for today. And just, tomorrow we're looking out for the GDP numbers and see where it goes. I think that the White House has done probably a very good job in softening the blow. I don't think it's something that's going to take Bitcoin out or the stock market out. If they had not did that and tried to change the definition, then I think that, and we just came out with these, this whole thing with the recession, I think it would have been a lot different. But since they, went out ahead and tried to soften the blow, I don't think the GDP numbers are going to be, they're not going to have the effect on the markets that I thought they might. And that just remains to be seen. I think since we're expecting a recession, we're expecting negative growth for 2 quarters in a row, that is so expected that it's not going to affect the markets very much. Bitcoin's going to drop by 2,000-3,000? I don't think so. Is the Dow going to drop by 2,000-3,000? I don't think so. We'll just see what happens tomorrow, and then we'll move from there. And then guess what? Just like I said earlier in the week, I just want to get through the month of July. Right? Get through some of the bad news, and we should see some positive growth, especially within the cryptocurrency markets. Yes, there's still a lot of lagging issues, but I want everybody here to have the opportunity to make money and put themselves in the position so they can go out and stock up on food, no matter where you live in the world, right? This is not just about an American thing, right? This is about on a worldwide basis. I want people to be able to move if they need to, move to a safer place, a safer community. I want people to get themselves out of debt before all the negativity takes place, before the Dow crashes, right? And before things get really bad in this world. I want the people that have been sitting here listening, believing and trusting in God, the ability to do all the things they need to do to prepare themselves and to prepare their ministry well. So that is really all that I have for today, folks. We just look forward tomorrow to see what happens with the GDP numbers. And then, we'll go through the weekend, and the end of July is on Sunday. And we'll start over with a whole brand new month and see where that takes us. So I thank you guys for listening. God bless. TC out.